that people are picked up from their homes, people are picked up at their schools, in universities, people are picked up at the streets, and some will never see again. Some will come back in body bags. Yet we have a very progressive constitution that protects the right to life, right to fair hearing, and to ensure that everyone goes through the same rigors and the same processes. I'm seeing today is Tekeleza Katiba, which is something that I stand by. The Constitution of Kenya 2010, we can say, is only turning 16 years today. And we already see signs and symptoms of initiatives to try and mutilate our constitution. I would say first start with the very basics of our constitution. Ensure that it's implemented. Today we have 3 arms of government, yet we cannot say that we are realizing the independence of the 3 arms of government as was envisioned under the new constitution. If Parliament would focus on just doing their job, of holding the executive accountable, of being a balance and check, ensuring that there is support for independence of the judiciary, to be able to put a halt to excesses by the executive and to be able to do the work they have been doing, because in this dispensation we have seen over 30 laws that have been declared unconstitutional. And these laws, most of them came from the executive but were passed in Parliament, where we have lawmakers that are supposed to look at the constitution and abide by not only the processes but also the mandate and limitations set under the constitution. And it only took the courts to be able to stop those pieces of legislation. And if we could start even with just that basic, ensure that those 3 arms of government can work interdependently but independent from influence and interference. We have seen instances where the executive calls members of parliament, they give a statement, and we see the exact thing that the executive has indicated going to be implemented in parliament. Yet these were 2 institutions that were supposed to work in a manner to ensure there's a balance and check. One is supposed to call out when the other goes too far. We start with that basic, ensuring we implement that fundamental basics of our constitution. Public participation has become a huge issue, and there are several attempts even to create legislation to limit public participation in the manner that people should participate. And these are instances that we are seeing trying to draw back, saying that it's not possible, it's not implementable, because citizens have become more alive to understanding the importance of laws, why they should get involved, why they should ask questions. Because there's the realization that Parliament, that should be standing for their voices, has failed entirely. When you feel that your member of parliament, even irrespective of calling them, sending them messages, that do not stand by the wishes of the people, then public participation plays a very important role. And today we see several instances, and the courts have interpreted the meaning and the intent of how public participation ought to be done. Let public participation be done and implemented as per the constitution, that citizens can have their voices heard. When your member of parliament fails to listen to your voice, when your member of county assembly fails to listen to your voice, that you're able to feed into through public participation to share your views on any legislations that are coming up that will end up affecting your day-to-day life. Members have realized, or citizens have realized, the importance of them taking an active role in ensuring their voices are heard. Let's go to the Bill of Rights. Don't kill our people. People should be able to participate in different ways. There are those who believe in sending memoranda. There are those who come out to the streets to express their displeasure. There are those who write on social media. But today, the dispensation we're seeing, irrespective of the constitution, is that people are picked up from their homes, people are picked up at their schools, in universities, people are picked up at the streets, and some will never see again. Some will come back in body bags. Yet we have a very progressive constitution that protects the right to life, right to fair hearing, and to ensure that everyone goes through the same rigors and the same processes. Fair and equal treatment before the law. We continue to see cabinet secretaries treated as princes before our very courts. They breach the law, they are called out for contempt of court, they come and give a small apology, and everything continues like nothing happened. Yet if it was a given citizen who did the same, they'll find themselves behind closed bars. So we should not even be talking about changing the constitution, because it suits certain classes of people. They want to benefit and earn more, get longer period in parliament so that they can continue to abuse human rights, ignore the citizens that have put them in those positions of power for a longer period, that they feel they have a longer time period to disobey the law and wait for a longer time to come out and try and beguile the people once again. Unless we first implement and protect the constitution as is, we cannot start having conversations about changing the constitution. Devolution was set in place for a purpose, because we had system where the president was all power lied with the president. And what did that mean? If you do not align with the president, there's no development. And that can be seen over the years with the kind of development in different areas and regions. And so devolution was meant to bridge that gap, to ensure that every citizen is able to benefit from development projects in their different regions, irrespective of what political views they hold. And yet those are the things that the attempts to claw back people who want to find their way back into positions of power because they have already held the maximum constitutional terms in different offices, want to find ways they can weave themselves back into power. 75% of citizens in Kenya make up 35 years and below. The question is, what plans are people having in place to protect that demography? The youth are no longer a subset under the constitution that should be dealt as a separate ambit. They are the majority of the citizen. So every policy, every law, every sector should factor in that section of our citizenship. And it should not be that there's a separate ministry, a separate part that the constitution is trying to recognize only a few. And even the positions given to a few, we still have instances where people who are not really youth deem themselves to represent the voices of the youth. So there's so much in our constitution that we are yet to respect and implement. Housing was devolved, health was devolved, but how much is actually being done by those institutions? Those are the questions we need to ask. How do we bolster, how do we support, how do we ensure better accountability of our leaders in those different areas rather than scrap, and then people can find ways of creeping in and putting in positions that can benefit themselves. This is, our constitution in the world is known as one of the most progressive. Why do we want to scrape? Why do we want to tear down a constitution that cost the blood and sweat of so many people? We remember the stories from Bomas. We saw so many who are sitting in those committee of experts. Some lost their lives. We cannot wash away the blood and sweat of those who fought to give us a fair chance in this country to benefit a few people who are sitting on a political table. I love that these discourses can be had openly with our members of our citizenship here in Nairobi, because that's where discussions need to start. You need to understand your rights. You need to understand how the constitution protects you, and most importantly, how do we ensure we protect it as well? If the political class cannot protect your rights, you as citizens have that responsibility to ensure you protect the very document that protects your right to participate in this country, your right to life, your right to ask for development, your right to ask for use of those resources properly, and demand accountability of how your taxes are employed. Our constitution needs to be protected, it needs to be properly implemented, and our constitution, any changes, if at all, should be people focused, not boardroom agreed decisions that they want to implement and force upon the people. So my position stands that we should protect our constitution, implement it first before thinking about tearing it down and losing all the gains of those who have fought for us to have this constitution that ensures we have freedom to express ourselves, freedom to engage politically, freedom to participate as a Kenyan citizen. Thank you very much.